First contact. The skies above New York City erupted in a dazzling display of light and color, drawing the attention of millions. Dr. Eliza Chen, lead astrophysicist at the Brookhaven National Laboratory, stood transfixed on the roof of her apartment building, her heart racing as she witnessed what she had dreamed of her entire life. First contact. The alien ship, a colossal structure of gleaming metal and pulsating energy fields, descended through the atmosphere with impossible grace. Its design defied human engineering principles, curves and angles blending in ways that seemed to bend reality itself. As it approached, an eerie silence fell over the city, the usual cacophony of urban life giving way to a collective held breath. As no response, the tension in the air was palpable, with military personnel gripping their weapons tightly and civilians watching from behind barricades with a mix of fear and wonder. Just as Eliza was about to try again, a beam of shimmering light erupted from the underside of the ship. It touched down on the grass in front of her, coalescing into a humanoid figure. The being that stood before them was tall and slender, with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors like the surface of a soap bubble. Its eyes, large and almond-shaped, regarded Eliza with an intelligence that sent a shiver down her spine. The alien raised a hand, revealing elongated fingers tipped with what appeared to be bioluminescent pads. It touched these pads together, producing a series of melodic tones that filled the air. As the sounds washed over her, Eliza felt a strange sensation in her mind, as if new neural pathways were being formed. To her astonishment, she began to understand the alien's intentions. It wasn't speech in the traditional sense, but a form of direct cognitive communication. Images and concepts flooded her consciousness, conveying a message of peace and curiosity. I can understand you," Eliza gasped, her voice filled with wonder. She turned to the astonished onlookers. "They come in peace. They're explorers, like us, seeking to learn about other civilizations." The alien nodded, a very human gesture that took Eliza by surprise. It then proceeded to share more information, which Eliza translated for the growing crowd of officials and scientists who had gathered. "They call themselves the Zaraquin," she explained. "They've been observing Earth for some time, waiting for the right moment to make contact. They believe we've reached a crucial point in our development, one that could lead to either greatness or destruction." General Thompson stepped forward, his face a mask of caution and curiosity. "Ask them why they've chosen to reveal themselves now. What do they want from us?" Eliza relayed the question, and a response came in another wave of mental imagery. Her eyes widened as she processed the information. They need our help. There's a threat coming, something that endangers not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled crowd. Murmurs of disbelief and fear rippled through the air. Eliza held up a hand, calling for silence as she continued to interpret the alien's message. "The Zaraquin are part of a galactic coalition of peaceful species," she explained. "But they've encountered an aggressive force that seeks to dominate or destroy all other life forms. This enemy is powerful and technologically advanced. The coalition has been searching for allies to help in the fight, and they believe humanity has unique qualities that could turn the tide." General Thompson's brow furrowed. What qualities? We're centuries behind them technologically. How could we possibly help in an interstellar war? Eliza listened intently as the Zaraquin communicated further. A smile spread across her face as she understood. "It's not about technology, General. It's about our creativity, our adaptability, our indomitable spirit. The Zaraquin have observed our history, our art, our scientific achievements. They believe we have a way of thinking outside the box that could provide new strategies and solutions in the fight against this threat." The alien stepped forward, extending a hand towards Eliza in a gesture unmistakably meant to mimic a human handshake. As their hands met, Eliza felt a surge of emotions and images. She saw stars and distant worlds, felt the weight of responsibility and the hope for a peaceful future. "They're inviting us to join them," Eliza announced, her voice filled with awe. "To become part of something greater than ourselves, to help protect not just our world, but countless others. The implications of this moment were staggering. Humanity stood on the precipice of a new era, one that would take them beyond the confines of their home planet and into the vast expanse of the galaxy. The challenges ahead were daunting, but the potential for growth and discovery was limitless. As news of the alien contact spread across the globe, Elisa knew that everything was about to change. The petty conflicts and divisions that had plagued humanity for so long seemed insignificant in the face of this cosmic invitation. It was a chance for unity, for progress, for humanity to prove its worth on a galactic stage. The Zarquin's visit was just the beginning. In the days and weeks to come, there would be countless meetings, negotiations, and preparations. But as Elisa stood there, hand in hand with a being from another world, she felt a sense of hope and excitement unlike anything she had ever experienced. Humanity's greatest adventure was about to begin. Elisa's phone buzzed incessantly in her pocket, no doubt a flurry of messages from colleagues and government officials. But she couldn't tear her eyes away from the spectacle above. Years of research, countless nights peering into the depths of space, all culminating in this moment. The ship came to a halt, hovering a mere 1,000 feet above Central Park. Its size became even more apparent now, dwarfing the surrounding skyscrapers. A low hum emanated from the vessel, vibrating through the air and sending shivers down Elisa's spine. Suddenly, her reverie was broken by the wail of sirens. Military jets screamed across the sky, circling the alien craft in a display of both curiosity and caution. Elisa knew she had to act fast. If humanity's first interaction with an alien species was one of aggression, it could spell disaster for both civilizations. With trembling hands, she dialed a number she hoped she'd never have to use. "General Thompson," she said as soon as the line connected. "This is Dr. Eliza Chen. We need to establish peaceful contact immediately. Please give me a chance to communicate with them before any military action is taken." There was a pause on the other end, filled with the muffled sounds of a command center in chaos. Finally, the general's gruff voice came through. "You have 1 hour, Doctor. Make it count." Eliza raced down to the street, her mind whirling with possibilities. How would they communicate? What protocols should she follow? As she hailed a taxi, barking orders to head to Central Park, she realized the magnitude of what she was about to attempt. The fate of humanity might very well rest on her ability to bridge the gap between two entirely different species. The park was a scene of controlled chaos when she arrived. Military personnel had established a perimeter, keeping the curious and terrified public at bay. Elisa flashed her government credentials, pushing through the throng of soldiers and officials until she stood at the edge of a hastily constructed command post. Above them, the alien ship remained motionless, its presence a looming reminder of how small and insignificant humanity truly was in the grand scheme of the universe. Elisa took a deep breath, centering herself. This was what she had prepared for her entire life, even as she hadn't known it. "I need a direct line of communication," she announced to the bustling command center. "Something that can broadcast on multiple frequencies simultaneously." A young technician approached her, carrying a device that looked like a cross between a satellite phone and a CB radio. "This should do the trick, Dr. Chen. It's set up to transmit across the entire electromagnetic spectrum." Elisa nodded her thanks and took the device. With shaking hands, she activated it and began to speak. "This is Dr. Eliza Chen of Earth. We welcome you in peace and friendship. We are eager to establish communication and learn from one another." She repeated the message in several languages, hoping that one might be decipherable to the alien visitors. For several agonizing minutes, there was the galactic threat. The weeks following first contact were a whirlwind of activity. Dr. Eliza Chen found herself at the center of a global transformation, serving as the primary liaison between humanity and the Zarquin. As she stood before the United Nations General Assembly, she couldn't help but marvel at how quickly the world had changed. "Ladies and gentlemen," Eliza began, her voice echoing through the packed chamber, "what I'm about to share with you will fundamentally alter our understanding of our place in the universe. Behind her, a holographic display flickered to life, showing a three-dimensional map of the Milky Way galaxy. Gasps of awe rippled through the audience as the vastness of space was laid out before them. The Zarquin have provided us with a comprehensive overview of galactic politics and the current state of affairs, Eliza continued. We are not alone, not by a long shot. There are thousands of spacefaring civilizations out there, many of whom have formed a coalition for mutual protection and advancement. The hologram zoomed in on a section of the galaxy, highlighting hundreds of star systems in a soft blue glow. This is the territory of the Galactic Coalition, a federation of peaceful species dedicated to exploration, scientific advancement, and cultural exchange. Eliza's expression grew somber as she pressed a button on her remote. A menacing red spread across a significant portion of the map, like a bloodstain seeping through fabric. And this is the domain of the Vrax Imperium. The assembly hall fell silent, the weight of the image before them sinking in. Eliza took a deep breath before continuing. The Vrax are a highly advanced, aggressive species bent on galactic domination. They view all other life forms as inferior and fit only for subjugation or eradication. Images began to flash across the screen, worlds laid waste, entire species forced into slavery, and nightmarish creatures as seemed to be living weapons of war. The Vrax have been expanding their territory for centuries, crushing any resistance they encounter. Their technology is centuries beyond our own, and their military might is unparalleled. A murmur of fear and disbelief rippled through the audience. Eliza raised her hand, calling for calm. I know this seems hopeless. You're wondering why the Zarquin would even bother reaching out to a primitive species like us in the face of such a threat. But that's exactly why they've come. The hologram shifted again, this time showing scenes from human history, the Wright brothers' first flight, the moon landing, scientists working in labs, artists creating masterpieces. The Zarquin and their allies have been observing us for a long time. They've seen our capacity for innovation, our ability to think outside the box, our indomitable spirit in the face of adversity. Eliza's voice grew passionate as she continued. Humanity has gone from horse-drawn carriages to space exploration in just over a century. We've split the atom, unraveled the human genome, and created artificial intelligence. Our literature imagines possibilities that have never occurred to other species. Our art inspires emotions they've never felt. We are unique in the galaxy, and that uniqueness might just be the key to defeating the Vrax. The assembly hall buzzed with a mixture of pride and apprehension. A delegate from India stood up, his voice wavering slightly. Dr. Chen, this is all fascinating, but what exactly are we being asked to do? Surely we can't hope to fight these Vrax creatures. Eliza nodded, understanding the concern. You're right, we can't fight them directly. Not yet. What the coalition needs from us is our minds, our creativity. They're proposing a cultural and scientific exchange program on a scale never before seen. She pressed another button, and the hologram displayed a massive space station orbiting a distant star. This is Nexus Station, a neutral ground where representatives from all coalition species come together to share knowledge and develop new technologies. The Zarquin are inviting us to send our best and brightest to join this endeavor. The room erupted in excited chatter. Eliza waited for the noise to die down before continuing. But that's not all. The coalition is also offering to share some of their technology with us to help us advance more quickly. In return, they ask for our assistance in developing new strategies to counter the Vrax threat. A stern-faced woman, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, stood up. Dr. Chen, how can we be sure this isn't some elaborate trap? How do we know these Zarquin aren't working with the Vrax, luring us into a false sense of security? Eliza had anticipated this question. She gestured to the side of the stage, where a Zarquin representative had been quietly observing the proceedings. The alien stepped forward, its iridescent skin shimmering under the lights. Esteemed leaders of Earth, the Zarquin spoke, its words translated through the advanced communication device Eliza wore. We understand your caution. Trust is not given lightly, especially between species who have only just met. That is why we propose a gradual integration. The alien waved its hand, and the hologram changed to show a series of stepping stones. We will start small, with cultural exchanges and limited technology transfers. As trust builds, we can deepen our cooperation. At any point, if you feel threatened or unsure, you may withdraw. We seek allies, not subjects. The assembly murmured, considering the proposal. Elisa stepped forward again. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is a lot to take in. We're being asked to take a leap of faith, to venture into the unknown. But consider the alternative. The Vraks are coming, whether we join the coalition or not. At least this way, we have a chance to prepare, to be part of something greater than ourselves. She paused, looking out over the sea of faces before her. Throughout our history, humanity has faced seemingly insurmountable challenges. We've weathered ice ages, survived plagues, and pulled ourselves back from the brink of nuclear annihilation. Each time, it was our curiosity, our adaptability, and our unwavering hope that saw us through. Now we face our greatest challenge yet, but we do not face it alone. The chamber was silent, hanging on her every word. Eliza's voice swelled with emotion as she delivered her final appeal. This is our moment. A chance to unite not just as nations, but as a species. To reach for the stars not in competition with each other, but in cooperation with beings from across the galaxy. The road ahead will be difficult, but I believe that together we can overcome any obstacle. The question is, are we ready to take that first step? As Eliza's words echoed through the hall, a sense of possibility seemed to ripple through the assembly. Delegates began to stand, one by one, then in groups, until the entire chamber was on its feet. The applause started slowly, then built to a thunderous roar. It was a sound of hope, of determination, of humanity ready to embrace its cosmic destiny. In the days that followed, nations around the world held emergency sessions to discuss the proposal. Debates raged in parliaments and congresses, on television shows and social media platforms. The idea of joining an intergalactic alliance was met with a mixture of excitement and fear, but as more information was shared, a consensus began to emerge. 2 months after the Zarquin's arrival, the United Nations convened again. This time, it was to ratify the Galactic Cooperation Treaty, formally accepting the coalition's invitation. As Eliza watched the votes come in, she felt a surge of pride in her species. Despite their differences, despite their fears, humanity had chosen to reach for the stars. The real work was just beginning. Teams of scientists, engineers, and diplomats were assembled from every corner of the globe. Training programs were established to prepare the first wave of human representatives for life on Nexus Station. Universities around the world began incorporating xenobiology and advanced physics into their curricula, preparing the next generation for a future among the stars. Eliza found herself working around the clock, coordinating between Earth's governments and the Zarquin delegation. It was exhausting, exhilarating work, but she never lost sight of the bigger picture. Every late night, every challenging negotiation was a step towards securing humanity's future. As she stood on the launch pad, watching the first human-crewed ship prepare for its journey to Nexus Station, Eliza felt a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. The sleek vessel, a hybrid of human and Zarquin technology, represented the first tangible fruit of their alliance. Nervous? A voice asked beside her. She turned to see Admiral Chen, her father and the newly appointed commander of Earth's fledgling space defense force. Eliza smiled, shaking her head. Excited. We're about to take our first real step into the galactic community. Everything changes from here on out. Admiral Chen nodded, his expression a mixture of pride and concern. It's a big responsibility. We're not just representing ourselves anymore, but all of humanity. We're ready, Eliza said with conviction. We have to be. As the countdown began, Eliza thought about the challenges that lay ahead. The Vraks' threat loomed large, a shadow over their bright future. But as she watched the ship lift off, streaking into the sky on a pillar of flame, she felt a surge of hope. Humanity had always risen to meet its greatest challenges, and this would be no different. The journey to the stars had begun, and with it, the next chapter in human history. Whatever lay ahead, Eliza knew one thing for certain: it was going to be one hell of an adventure. Journey to the stars. The hum of the ship's engines reverberated through Dr. Eliza Chen's bones as she stared out the viewport at the vast expanse of space. Earth, once a blue marble dominating her view, was now nothing more than a pale dot among countless stars. 6 months had passed since humanity's first foray into interstellar travel, and Eliza still found herself in awe of their journey. Nexus Station will be coming into view shortly, Dr. Chen announced Captain Yuki Tanaka, her voice calm and steady despite the momentous occasion. Eliza nodded, trying to quell the butterflies in her stomach. As the lead scientist of Earth's delegation, she carried the weight of humanity's hopes and dreams on her shoulders. The ship, christened the HSS Unity, represented the pinnacle of human Zarquin collaborative technology. It was faster, more efficient, and more advanced than anything humanity had ever created on its own, yet it still incorporated distinctly human design elements. As if on cue, a massive structure began to materialize in the distance. Nexus Station grew larger with each passing moment, its scale defying comprehension. It was a city in space, a sprawling complex of interconnected modules, each dedicated to different aspects of research and diplomacy. "My God," whispered Dr. Adebayo, the team's xenobiologist. "It's like something out of a science fiction novel." Eliza smiled, remembering the countless stories she'd read as a child, dreaming of this very moment. And yet, here we are, living it. As the Unity approached the docking bay, Eliza marveled at the diversity of ships surrounding the station. Vessels of all shapes and sizes, some organic-looking, others geometrically precise, floated in a carefully choreographed dance. Each represented a different species, a different world, all united in the pursuit of knowledge and the fight against the Vrak's threat. The docking procedure was smooth, a testament to the advanced technology guiding their ship. As the airlock hissed open, Eliza took a deep breath, steeling herself for the historic moment to come. "Remember," she said to her team, "we're not just scientists anymore. We're ambassadors for our entire species. Let's show the galaxy what humanity is capable of." They stepped onto the station, and Eliza's senses were immediately overwhelmed. The air was filled with a cacophony of sounds, clicks, whistles, and tones that no human throat could produce. Beings of all descriptions moved through the corridors, some bipedal, others with multiple limbs or floating appendages. The diversity was staggering, yet there was an underlying sense of purpose that united them all. A familiar figure approached, Zarquin, the alien diplomat who had first made contact with Earth. Its iridescent skin shimmered under the station's lights, creating a mesmerizing display. "Dr. Chen," it greeted, its thoughts translating seamlessly through their advanced communication devices. "On behalf of the Galactic Coalition, welcome to Nexus Station. We are honored by humanity's presence here." Eliza bowed slightly, a gesture she had learned was respected across many cultures. "The honor is ours, Zarquin. We're eager to contribute to the Coalition's efforts and learn from our galactic neighbors." As Zarquin led them on a tour of the station, Eliza and her team struggled to take in all the wonders around them. They passed laboratories where energy seemed to defy the laws of physics, biological research centers with creatures beyond imagination, and engineering bays where ships were grown rather than built. "This is incredible," Dr. Adebayo murmured, his eyes wide as they observed a group of jellyfish-like beings manipulating holographic star maps. "The potential for scientific advancement here is beyond anything we could have achieved on our own." Zarquin's expression, while alien, conveyed a sense of pride. Nexus Station represents the culmination of thousands of years of collaborative effort. Each species brings its own unique perspective, its own technological and cultural contributions. It is our hope that humanity will find its place here, adding its voice to our collective symphony. As they continued their tour, Eliza noticed that many of the alien scientists were watching their group with undisguised curiosity. Some even approached, eager to make first contact with the newcomers from Earth. A tall avian creature with iridescent feathers and 4 arms introduced itself as Krizak, lead researcher in quantum communications. "Your species' literature," it chirped excitedly, "particularly your science fiction, has caused quite a stir among our cultural analysts. The sheer diversity of imagined futures and technologies, it's unprecedented." Eliza couldn't help but smile at the alien's enthusiasm. "We're a species of dreamers," she explained. "Our fiction often inspires our science, pushing us to turn imagination into reality." Krizak's eyes, multifaceted like an insect's, sparkled with interest. "Fascinating. Perhaps this science fiction of yours could provide new avenues of research in our fight against the Vraks." The mention of the Vraks sobered the mood. Zarquin led them to a secure briefing room, where holographic displays showed the latest intelligence on the encroaching threat. "The Vraks have accelerated their expansion," Zarquin explained, its tone grave. "They've developed new weapons technology that our current defenses struggle to counter." "That's why your arrival is so timely, Dr. Chen. We need fresh perspectives, new ideas." Eliza studied the tactical displays, her mind racing. The Vraks ships were like nothing she'd ever seen, organic yet mechanical, with weapon systems that seemed to bend space itself. "Have you tried adapting your shields to?" She trailed off, realizing she was about to suggest something based on a half-remembered episode of a sci-fi show she'd watched as a teenager. But then she paused, remembering Krizak's words about the value of human imagination. "Actually," she said, straightening her back, "I have an idea. It might sound crazy, but hear me out." For the next hour, Eliza outlined a potential defense system based on a combination of concepts from human science fiction and the advanced physics she'd been studying since first contact. The alien scientists listened intently, their expressions moving from skepticism to intrigue. "It's unorthodox," admitted a squid-like being named Thorax, chief of Coalition Defense Research. "But that's exactly the kind of thinking we need. We've been approaching this problem from the same angle for too long. Your human perspective might just be the key to breaking through." As the meeting adjourned, there was a new energy in the room. Eliza's team was quickly integrated into various research groups, their unique human insights already sparking new ideas and approaches. Over the next few weeks, Eliza found herself working around the clock, collaborating with minds from across the galaxy. The learning curve was steep. Some of the concepts they were dealing with were so advanced they bordered on the metaphysical. But for every moment of frustration, there was a breakthrough, a moment of connection that transcended species and culture. One evening, as Eliza was taking a rare moment of rest in the station's observation deck, she was joined by Zarquin. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars and the occasional ship departing on some crucial mission. "You know," Zarquin said after a while, "there was considerable debate among the Coalition leadership about whether to contact Earth. Some felt your species was too young, too volatile. They feared you might not be ready for the responsibilities that come with galactic citizenship." Eliza turned to the alien, curious. What changed their minds? Zarquin's skin rippled in what Eliza had come to recognize as a smile. "I showed them your art, your music, your literature, your films. I showed them how, even confined to one world, your species dreamed of the stars, how you imagined countless futures, both bright and dark. How, despite all your challenges, you never stopped hoping, never stopped striving for something better." The alien gestured to the bustling station around them. "In just a few short weeks, you've already made meaningful contributions to our efforts. Your team's ideas have reinvigorated research that had stagnated. Your cultural exchanges have inspired new forms of art and expression across multiple species." Eliza felt a swell of pride, not just in herself, but in all of humanity. "We still have a long way to go," she said. "The Vraks threat is real, and we're still playing catch-up in so many areas." True, Zarquin agreed. But if there's one thing we've learned about humans, it's that you thrive when faced with challenges. The road ahead will be difficult, but I believe that with humanity as part of our coalition, we have a real chance at not just surviving, but creating a better galaxy for all. As if to punctuate Zarquin's words, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed, and a voice echoed through the corridors. Alert! Vrax scout ships detected in nearby space. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. Eliza's heart raced as she exchanged a look with Zarquin. The threat they had been preparing for was no longer a distant concern. It was here now, and they would have to face it together. As they raced towards the command center, Eliza's mind was already whirling with ideas, strategies, possibilities. This was the moment humanity had been preparing for, the chance to prove their worth on the galactic stage. Whatever came next, she knew one thing for certain: humanity was ready to face the challenge head-on. The battle for the future of the galaxy was about to begin, and humanity would be right in the thick of it. The battle for survival. Alarms blared throughout Nexus Station as Dr. Eliza Chen raced alongside Zarquin towards the command center. The corridor was a flurry of activity, beings of all species hurrying to their designated posts. As they burst into the vast, circular room, Eliza's eyes were immediately drawn to the massive holographic display dominating the center. Status report, barked Admiral Clorath, a towering reptilian being who commanded the Coalition's defense forces. A Zarquin technician responded, its voice calm despite the chaos. 3 Vrax scout ships detected at the edge of the system. They appeared to be conducting long-range scans of the station. Eliza's mind raced. Scout ships meant a larger force couldn't be far behind. She stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. Admiral, we need to assume this is a prelude to a full-scale attack. The Vrax don't send scouts unless they're planning something big. Admiral Clorath's reptilian eyes narrowed as he regarded Eliza. You speak with certainty, human. Explain. It's a classic military tactic, used throughout Earth's history, Eliza explained quickly. Send a small force to probe defenses, gather intelligence, and potentially bait the enemy into revealing their capabilities. We can't afford to underestimate them. The Admiral nodded, a gesture Eliza had learned was nearly universal among sapient species. Your insight is appreciated, Dr. Chen. What do you propose? Eliza hesitated for a moment, acutely aware that all eyes in the command center were on her. This was no simulation or theoretical exercise. Real lives hung in the balance. She took a deep breath and dove in. We need to present a credible threat to those scout ships without revealing our full defensive capabilities, she began. I suggest we deploy a small task force using older ship designs that the Vrax are likely familiar with, but we'll outfit them with our latest shield modifications, the ones based on the phase-shifting technology my team has been developing. Murmurs of approval rippled through the command center. Admiral Clorath's expression remained impassive, but there was a glint of interest in his eyes. Go on. Meanwhile, Eliza continued, her confidence growing. We evacuate all non-essential personnel from the outer rings of the station and power down those sections. Make it look like we're diverting all power to weapons and shields. In reality, we'll be charging up the quantum entanglement array. Zarquin stepped forward, its skin rippling with excitement. The experimental communication system, but it's not fully tested yet. Eliza nodded. Exactly. The Vrax won't be expecting it. If we can use it to send an instantaneous distress signal to coalition forces in nearby systems, we might be able to summon reinforcements before the main Vrax fleet arrives. For a tense moment, the command center was silent as Admiral Clorath considered the plan. Finally, he straightened to his full, impressive height. It's bold, unconventional, and exactly what we need. Make it happen. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Eliza found herself at the heart of the operations, coordinating between different species and departments, translating human military strategies into a galactic context. Her team worked tirelessly, making last-minute adjustments to the shield modifications and prepping the quantum entanglement array. As the coalition task force moved into position, tension in the command center reached a fever pitch. The holographic display showed the 3 Vrax scout ships, ominous red markers against the backdrop of space. "They're powering up weapons," reported a sensor officer, their tentacles waving in agitation. Admiral Klarath's voice was steel. "Engage as planned. Let's show these Vrax what the coalition is made of." The battle that ensued was unlike anything Eliza had ever seen. The coalition ships danced through space, their movements graceful yet deadly. The new shield modifications held up under the Vrax onslaught, the energy weapons dissipating harmlessly against the phase-shifted barriers. But the Vrax were not to be underestimated. Their ships moved with an almost organic fluidity, adapting their tactics on the fly. As Eliza watched, one of the scout ships suddenly split into multiple smaller craft, each one targeting a different coalition vessel. "That's new," she muttered, her mind already racing to find a counter. Zarquin, who had been coordinating the station's internal defenses, turned to her. "The Vrax are known for their biomechanical technology. It seems they've taken it to a new level." An idea struck Eliza like a bolt of lightning. Biomechanical. That's it. She rushed to a nearby console, her fingers flying over the alien interface. If their ships are partly organic, they must have some kind of central nervous system. What if we could disrupt it? She quickly outlined her plan to the engineering team. By modifying the station's long-range scanners to emit a specific frequency, they might be able to create a signal that would interfere with the Vrax ship's ability to coordinate their split forms. As the modified signal pulsed out from Nexus Station, the effect was immediate and dramatic. The smaller Vrax craft began to move erratically, some colliding with each other, others spinning off into space. The coalition ships pressed their advantage, their weapons finding weak points in the now uncoordinated Vrax defenses. In a matter of minutes, it was over. The Vrax scout ships, or what remained of them, retreated in disarray. A cheer went up in the command center, beings of all species celebrating together. Eliza felt a hand on her shoulder and turned to see Admiral Klarath, his reptilian features arranged in what she hoped was a smile. "Impressive work, Dr. Chen," he rumbled. "Your quick thinking may have saved many lives today." But Eliza knew the battle was far from over. "Thank you, Admiral, but we can't celebrate yet. Those scouts will report back to their fleet. We need to prepare for the real fight." As if in response to her words, the quantum entanglement array hummed to life. A message flashed across the screens. Coalition reinforcements were on their way, but they were still hours out. The Vrax main fleet, on the other hand, would arrive much sooner. Admiral Klarath's expression turned grim. "It seems we must hold the line, whatever the cost. The fate of the coalition, perhaps of the entire galaxy, may rest on our ability to defend Nexus Station." Eliza nodded, her mind already formulating strategies. She thought of Earth, of her father and the fledgling human defense force. They were out there somewhere, preparing for a war they had only just learned existed. Failure here could mean the end of not just Nexus Station, but countless worlds across the galaxy. "We'll hold," she said, her voice filled with determination. Humanity didn't come all this way just to falter at the first real test. We faced extinction-level threats before, Admiral. It's kind of our specialty. A ripple of agreement went through the command center. Beings of all shapes and sizes, from worlds Eliza could scarcely imagine, looked to her with hope and respect. In that moment, she felt the weight of not just humanity's future, but the future of all sapient life in the galaxy. As the station's defenses were brought to full readiness and plans were made for the coming battle, Eliza allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, standing alongside alien allies, defending the galaxy against a cosmic threat. Now that it was here, she was determined to show the universe exactly what humans were made of. The Vrax were coming, in numbers that would blot out the stars, but on Nexus Station, a coalition of species stood ready, with humanity's ingenuity and indomitable spirit as their secret weapon. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin, and Eliza Chen was right where she needed to be, at the heart of it all, ready to fight for the future of every sentient being in the cosmos. As the first warnings of the approaching Vrax fleet echoed through the station, Eliza squared her shoulders and turned to face the holographic display. Whatever came next, she was ready. Humanity was ready, and together with their new allies, they would show the Vrax that the spirit of freedom and cooperation could never be extinguished. The battle for survival had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Triumph of unity. The vast emptiness of space erupted into a maelstrom of light and energy as the Vrax armada dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Thousands of biomechanical ships, each a terrifying fusion of organic matter and advanced technology, filled the viewscreens of Nexus Station's command center. Dr. Eliza Chen felt her breath catch in her throat at the sheer scale of the invasion force. "By the eternal void," whispered Admiral Clorath, his normally stoic demeanor cracking under the weight of the moment. "There are more of them than our worst estimates predicted." Eliza's mind raced, analyzing the situation with the cool logic that had become her trademark. "Numbers aren't everything, Admiral. We have the home field advantage, and more importantly, we have diversity on our side." She turned to address the assembled leaders of the coalition forces. Beings from 100 different worlds looked to her, their alien features etched with a mix of fear and determination. "Each of your species has faced extinction-level threats before. You've survived ice ages, meteor impacts, plagues, and wars. Humanity is no different. We've stared into the abyss countless times and always found a way to claw our way back." Her voice grew stronger, filled with the indomitable spirit that had carried humanity to the stars. "The Vrax think their uniformity is strength, but it's their greatest weakness. They can't imagine a force as diverse as ours working together. That's our edge." A series of rapid-fire orders followed. Eliza's plan, born from a mixture of human military history and the advanced sciences she'd absorbed over the past months, began to take shape. Coalition ships moved into formation, each species taking on roles that played to their unique strengths. The Zarquin vessels, with their advanced cloaking technology, slipped behind enemy lines to conduct guerrilla-style attacks. The crystalline ships of the Engsothul, beings of living silicon, formed an impenetrable barrier around the station's most vulnerable sectors. And at the heart of it all, a mixed squadron of ships, led by humanity's own Unity, prepared to strike at the Vrax command ship. As the battle was joined, the void of space became a canvas of destruction and valor. Vrax weapons, designed to overpower through sheer force, found themselves outmaneuvered by the imaginative tactics of the coalition. Eliza's modifications to the station's defenses, inspired by everything from Earth's marine life to science fiction shields, held firm against the onslaught. But the Vrax were not easily defeated. For every ship the coalition destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. Hours passed, and despite their valiant efforts, Eliza could see that they were slowly being overwhelmed. "We need a game-changer," she muttered, her eyes darting across the tactical displays. Then, a memory surfaced, a conversation with Krizak, the avian scientist fascinated by human science fiction. That's it. Her fingers flew across the alien console as she outlined her plan. It was audacious, bordering on insane, but it just might work. "We're going to create a wormhole," she announced to the stunned command center. Admiral Clorath's reptilian features contorted in confusion. A wormhole? That's purely theoretical technology. We're centuries away from— "Maybe you are," Eliza interrupted, a glint of excitement in her eyes. "But we humans have been imagining ways to bend space-time since before we left our own planet. And with the quantum entanglement array, we have the power source we need to make it happen." What followed was a frenzy of activity that pushed the boundaries of science and imagination. Eliza's team, working in concert with the brightest minds of a dozen species, repurposed the station's massive power core. The quantum entanglement array, designed for communication, was transformed into a device capable of puncturing the very fabric of space. As the Vraks pressed their advantage, believing victory was within their grasp, Eliza gave the order. Energy surged through Nexus Station. Every light dimming as power was diverted to the improvised wormhole generator. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, with a silent flash that seemed to ripple through reality itself, a swirling vortex opened in the heart of the Vraks fleet. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Vraks ships, caught unprepared by the sudden gravitational distortion, were torn apart or pulled into the wormhole. Their rigid, hierarchical command structure, unable to adapt to such an unprecedented event, fell into chaos. "Now," Eliza shouted, "all ships, concentrate fire on their flagship." The coalition forces rallied, pressing their sudden advantage. The HSS Unity, piloted with skill that would have made the greatest Earth fighter aces proud, led the charge. Its weapons, a hybrid of human innovation and alien technology, struck true. The Vraks command ship, a behemoth that had seemed invincible just moments before, erupted in a series of explosions. As the Vraks flagship disintegrated, a wave of disorganization swept through their remaining forces. Ships began to retreat, their coordinated assault devolving into a panicked rout. The command center of Nexus Station erupted in cheers, beings of all species embracing in the shared joy of survival and victory. But Eliza's work wasn't done. "Quick," she urged, "while the wormhole is still stable, we can use it to our advantage." Under her guidance, coalition ships herded the retreating Vraks through the wormhole. As the last enemy ship disappeared into the swirling vortex, Eliza initiated the final phase of her plan. The wormhole collapsed in on itself, sealing the Vraks off in a distant, uninhabited region of space. In the stunned silence that followed, Admiral Clorath approached Eliza. He bowed deeply, a gesture of utmost respect in his culture. "Dr. Chen, you have not just saved Nexus Station, you may well have saved our entire galaxy." The next few days passed in a glow of celebration, repair work, and intense debriefings. As news of the victory spread, ships from across the coalition arrived, bringing with them dignitaries eager to meet the humans who had turned the tide of war. 1 week after the battle, Eliza found herself standing before the Coalition Council, the governing body of that interstellar alliance. Beings of incredible diversity filled the chamber, their attention focused solely on her. The council speaker, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline shell, addressed her. "Dr. Eliza Chen, representative of humanity, you have proven beyond any doubt the value of your species to our coalition. Your creativity, your adaptability, your sheer audacity in the face of overwhelming odds. These are qualities we sorely needed." Eliza stood tall, acutely aware that she spoke not just for herself, but for all of humanity. "Thank you, honored speaker, but I didn't accomplish this alone. It was the combined efforts of every species, every individual in this coalition that made victory possible. Humanity is honored to stand alongside you all as partners and friends." The speaker's energy form pulsed with approval. "Well said. In light of recent events, this council has come to a decision. We formally invite Earth to become a full member of the Galactic Coalition, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Furthermore, we propose the establishment of a new division within our organization, the Department of Strategic Innovation, to be led by you, Dr. Chen." Eliza's heart soared at the implications. Full membership meant access to advanced technologies, cultural exchanges, and protections that would usher in a new golden age for humanity. And the new department, that was an opportunity to ensure that the spirit of human innovation and imagination would continue to benefit the entire galaxy. As she accepted the Council's offer, Eliza thought of Earth, of the long journey that had brought humanity to this point. From the first humans who looked up at the stars and dreamed, to the scientists and visionaries who made space travel possible, to the brave souls who had ventured out into the unknown, it had all led to this moment. The battle against the Vraks was over, but Eliza knew it was just the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more threats to face. But standing there, among representatives of civilizations more ancient and advanced than she could have ever imagined, Eliza felt a profound sense of hope. Humanity had found its place among the stars. Their unique perspective, their indomitable spirit, and their capacity for innovation would help shape the future of the galaxy. And whatever that future held, they would face it together, united in diversity, stronger for their differences. As the council chamber erupted in applause, Eliza allowed herself a smile. The journey that had begun with a single step on Earth had led to a giant leap for all sentient kind. The stars, once distant and unreachable, were now the backdrop for humanity's greatest adventure. And it was only just beginning.